Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about relapse, okay? The lingo I like to use is going off of your protocol. What I have my clients do is come up with their own protocol and call it what you want. We're talking about when you are basically trying not to look at porn and you make a mistake and you do look at porn, right? Remember that it is always a neutral thing until you have a thought about it in your mind, right? And that's just a more useful way to start thinking about it. I know some of you will be like, no, it's not neutral. Porn is bad, especially people who have grown up in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints like me. But for the purposes of how your mind works, which is where all of this starts with when it comes to using porn and not, I find it much more helpful to view your use of porn anytime you've used porn in the past as just to recognize that it's a neutral thing until you have a thought about it in your mind that is going to make it either positive or negative or remain neutral. How you think about it is so important. That's why we need to start distinguishing that way more. So the question is, will relapse happen or not? And the answer is yes, exactly. It will happen or it won't happen. I don't think it is helpful to believe that it will happen no matter what, right? That's where a lot of us get stuck. And you can see why, right? I mean, if you've tried for a long time or many times to not look at porn and then you still have many times, then you'll feel like, it's just a matter of time before I fail again, right? A lot of people start thinking this way. But just because that is the case doesn't mean for sure that you will look at porn again, right? And just notice how you're thinking about that in your mind and see if you need to make that shift. So will it happen or not? What you're looking for, what you turn your brain toward is what you are going to find, okay? So if you believe that it will happen again no matter what, then it will happen again. You will find a way to make it happen. If you believed that you had to stop looking at porn for the rest of your life, or else someone would kill you or someone would kill someone you loved. I know this is an extreme example, but I think you would find a way to commit so hard to not looking at it that you would make it happen, right? And, this is just kind of an example to be helpful. Some of you might be thinking, but I wouldn't be able to do it, and then someone I love would die because I don't have self-control, and you're probably making yourself feel bad about it already, just not being able to save that that person you love. It's a fake example. The point is that it is always a choice, right? And that's important to remember. Okay, so the next thing to remember is that feelings come from the thoughts that we choose, right? Every feeling you have comes from a thought. We're going to be talking about that more later, but just start paying attention to that. And then feelings ultimately are what drive our actions in the long run, okay? So what happens with relapse or going off your protocol is people are so afraid of relapsing that that fear actually drives them to be more likely to relapse, to go off their protocol, okay? So they're so afraid that they're going to look at porn again that the fear drives this paranoid type behavior, and then you don't want to feel the fear because usually people who have been looking at porn a lot are avoiding feeling their feelings as one of the reasons that they look at porn. And So if you throw this fear into the mix, or shame, or whatever it is, being afraid of looking at porn again, then it's actually, especially if you're not comfortable feeling your feelings and you're used to numbing out with porn to avoid your feelings, then you're going to want to avoid that fear, and you'll be more likely to relapse and look at porn again, right? So, the question is, why are we afraid? Why do people become so afraid of looking at porn again? It's because of how you treat yourself, right? It's because of what we make it mean about ourselves once we do this. And it's because basically a lot of us are beating the crap out of ourselves when we look at porn. Because there's the part of us in our upper brain that thinks, I don't want to do this, and then there's the part in your lower brain, your midbrain, your animal brain, that's like, no, I want this, right? And it feels as important as life or death, and then there's that dissonance between those two parts of your brain, and then you go and do it, and you think, oh, I'm a terrible person for doing this. And so many people, so many really good guys, just beat the heck out of themselves when they look at porn, right? And it becomes this terribly painful experience. I think it seems like part of this, a lot of times you don't want to judge yourself for how you do it, right? So look at why you do that. Why do you beat yourself up when you look at porn? Probably because you think it's going to help you to not look at porn again, right? If I punish myself enough, I'm not going to look again, right? But look at where that's gotten you, right? Has it really helped? If you talk to your wife or to your bishop or just to God, do you feel like you need to beat yourself up in front of them to show how sorry you are and how serious you are about wanting to stop? Even if you don't talk to anybody, how are you talking to yourself? And does it help? Has it helped? If that's what you've been doing and you're still resorting to porn, then it's probably not helping, right? So how can we adjust this? The funny thing about this is that, so we think we're afraid of looking at porn again, right? What we're actually afraid of is how we're going to treat ourselves and how terrible we're going to feel when we treat ourselves that way and think that way. So we're actually afraid of something that we have complete control over, and that's how you treat yourself, right? So I just want you to consider, I want to offer these alternative ideas. What if failure is part of the process? What if it is meant to be? What if stopping looking at porn is a skill and you just haven't learned it yet? When you learn a new skill, do you expect yourself to do it perfectly right away? Imagine this, like playing the piano. Do you expect that you can just say, okay, I'm going to play the piano and I'm going to play this Mozart song and I'm going to do it perfectly right away, no mistakes? No, it's ridiculous, right? When you think about it in that way, it's absolutely ridiculous what we start expecting of ourselves. So what if you just haven't learned the skill yet of how to stop looking at porn, right? And what if making mistakes along the way is part of it? So another thing that happens is when people are trying to stop and they look at porn, some people will say things like, I fell off the wagon, or I'm back at ground zero, starting all over again. But I want to suggest to you that there is no such thing as starting all over again. Okay? Wherever you're at in your process is where you are at. So don't try to be somewhere that you are not. On top of that, you are who you are, and don't try to be someone you are not. okay? This doesn't help. As long as you're fighting against where you are at and who you are, you're not going to make any progress, okay? So once you let go of that layer of judgment and accept yourself as who you are and where you're at, then that's when change is possible, okay? That's the ironic thing. We think that we can judge ourselves into changing, but you actually need to take the judgment out in order to change, okay? It's backwards from how a lot of people do it. So the next few questions I want you to consider. What if who you are is a fluid thing? What if change is possible? What if you can unlearn your obsession with pornography? What if you can learn how to not want porn all the time? And what if you are acceptable and worthy at every point along the way, including right now? Oh, that is so powerful. I honestly get goosebumps and just feel so full of wonderful feelings when I think these things, okay? Like empowering feelings. Like I can do this type of feelings. In the Church of Jesus Christ, we have learned that pornography is a bad thing, right? And even if, that's how it's taught. It's just taught that way. And it's taught that way by humans, right, who are part of the church, and a lot of the times we're always being taught by humans in church, even if God is behind a lot of it. If you want to believe that, it doesn't mean he's behind every single thing every human says at church, right? I think we could all agree on that. We've been taught that pornography is a bad thing. All right, so maybe it is, maybe it isn't. What's useful in the way we think about it, okay? So what if failure is a good thing? All right, so you've got your plan in place, your protocol, and you want to stop looking, or however much you do want to look or not look. You have your protocol. What if failure, as you work on this protocol, is a good thing? What if we are meant to choose bad things sometimes as part of our learning process? Right? Do you see the difference there? What if it means something is right with you if you have chosen pornography sometimes? What if it means you are a human on this earth? What if God intended it to be this way? I don't know about you, but there were times when I asked God to remove this problem or struggle for me, right? My struggle with pornography, God, just take it away, will you? If I have enough faith, you'll take it away. But why doesn't he do this for us? I don't know for sure, right? But do we trust that he has a good reason for not just removing it from us? What if it's because he respects our agency too much, right? Our agency, that's a term we use in the church. For those of you who are not members, agency is, you probably know what it is anyway. Our freedom to choose. We always call it free agency in church. And what if God, we believe that he isn't going to do anything to affect that agency, right? That's a huge, huge part of what we believe as members of the Church of Jesus Christ. So do we really think that he's going to just take away this problem rather than let us learn to use our agency to work through it? You know what I'm saying? So there's a scripture in the Book of Mormon, in Ether, chapter 12, verse 27, that says, it's God saying, I give unto men weakness, right? I give unto men weakness. So if we really believe this, would God give us something not for our benefit? If we really believe that God is all powerful and all knowing and perfectly loving, then I think we wouldn't see our our struggle with pornography as a curse, and we would actually see it as part of the experience of having a human body. What if you start thinking about it that way instead of it being something wrong with you or some curse or something like that? What if you think of it as part of the experience of having a human body? And what if we look at this whole human experience as a gift? The whole experience, right? Not just the parts we like, but the whole experience. What if all of it is actually a gift? I can't speak for God, but I think that God, if he is all loving and all powerful and perfectly knowledgeable, I think that he sees value in this struggle for us, and that he would want us to learn. And then the next question is how can you learn without failing? You can't. You cannot learn without failing. It is part of learning. Anything, any skill, anything you're learning in life, failing is part of it. So, just like stopping looking at pornography is a skill, learning how to fail well is also a skill. So that's the next question is, how can you fail well when you go off of your protocol and look at porn? I'm just going to list some quick tips here for you, okay? Number 1, honor yourself. Have your own back, right? Have you ever tried doing this instead? When you look at porn, is your habit just to go immediately to, I'm a terrible person? Or even for just wanting porn. I'm awful. I'm evil. I'm susceptible to temptations of the devil. I'm going to go to hell. Whatever it is. Do we just start throwing these horrible judgments at ourselves? Like, would you say that to anyone else? What if it was your son, your own son, struggling with pornography? Would you say those things to him? Oh man, that's such a powerful example to me. When I think of my boy being old enough for this to be a thing and struggling with it, I am just filled with love, and not a part of me wants to judge him or come down on him. I just want to help him and be there for him. Do we do this for ourselves? Can you? Can you learn how? The answer is yes. You can practice. You get to choose how you're going to treat yourself. So you can choose to be negative, judgmental, or you can honor yourself and have your own back. Okay, next tip, number 2. Remember that your actions, the things that you do, that you choose, are in no way tied to your worth as a human. You are a worthy human no matter what you do or don't do. You cannot increase or diminish your worth, no matter what. And it's non-negotiable, okay? I just want you to consider that. Try that one on. Number 3, remember that you are not starting over. There's no such thing, like we talked about before. Number 4, acceptance. Accept where you are, who you are, and what actions you have chosen. Number 5, practice keeping your prefrontal cortex in charge. Okay, this is a big part of what I teach in my program, what I help people to practice. And what happens when you have these, you go off your protocol and look at porn, make a mistake, there might be part of you that just wants to like brush over it and forget about it and not look at it, right? And that's your lower brain. Your lower brain doesn't want to delve into all the details. It wants to just be impulsive and get what it wants when it wants. And it's doing its thing for a reason. Don't judge your lower brain. Don't judge yourself for having a lower brain. It's part of you. Okay? But I have an exercise that I give my clients called Write It Down and Move On. And basically, you take the judgment out and you just look at all the details of what happened, how you can learn from it, what you will do differently next time, and then you move on, right? Write it down and move on. And you need to do this with every single instance where you go off your protocol, okay? and just practice keeping that upper brain in charge. Your higher human brain is so much more powerful than we give it credit for. And if you learn how to do it with these other skills, it will far outweigh the power of your lower brain. Even though right now, a lot of times your lower brain is winning out, I can show you how to have the upper brain win out over time with practice, right? Number 6, learn how to allow urges without rewarding them. Okay, this is not white knuckling. This is another skill that I teach. But basically, in short, I'm going to talk more about this later. But in short, what most of us do when we have a feeling we don't like or don't know how to handle is we avoid or resist or react to it, right? And an urge to look at porn is a feeling in your body, and it's being created by some thoughts that you're thinking, that you've learned to think and gotten really good at thinking, right? But allowing that urge feeling to be there without rewarding it is how you begin to decondition that desire for pornography, for the false pleasure of pornography that is concentrated pleasure and gives us unnatural amounts of dopamine getting flooded into our brain. Okay, and it tricks our brain. Our brains aren't designed for that. And the last tip that I'll mention here is remove the drama, right? I mean, when I look back to how I used to do things, it was a roller coaster, man. I looked at porn, I'm terrible, I'm horrible, I'm going to go to hell if I don't fix this right now. Okay, I'm not ever going to do it again. And then I'd go on this high of not thinking I'm not ever going to do it again, and then I'd have those feelings come again and I wouldn't know how to handle them, and then I would look at porn again, right? And it was just this so much drama that really was coming from the story I was telling in my own brain with the thoughts I was choosing to think. And you get to choose how you're going to think in these situations. A lot of times what you've practiced is going to be kind of your default, and sort of your brain's going to throw it at you in the moment. So in order to start changing that, you need to be willing to feel the feelings that are coming from that drama, right? Which is uncomfortable, and it can feel negative. But if you allow it, it's amazing how much more peaceful of an experience it can be, rather than avoid that feeling. So first, give that feeling permission to be there, and then look at what's causing it. And if you take the judgment out and do this, then you're going to be able to start adjusting how you think about it to a way that serves you better, that helps you reach your goals. Like, if your goal is really to not look at porn or masturbate anymore, let's do something that actually gets you moving toward that goal, right? What you've been doing isn't working. So look at it and let's try something different. Okay. Here's the magical thing about this. When you decide that you're going to treat yourself this way, with those 7 tips I just mentioned, the relapse becomes less scary, right? You're not as afraid of going off your protocol and looking at porn, because you know you're going to have your own back and you're not going to beat yourself up so much, right? And you're learning the skills to get you where you want to go, right? And then when you're less fearful of looking at porn, here's the magic. You look at porn less, all right? And that's what I want you to just try on this week, and let me know how it goes. I'm going to try to put a place, I'm new at the podcast thing here, but I'll try to put a place where you guys can maybe comment on the page under the podcast and let me know how it goes. All right. Good luck with that this week, and I'll talk to you next time.